All right, boys and girls, welcome to another episode of What's Wrong with This Air Conditioner. It's pretty nice right now in Texas. It's only about 85 for the high today, so I've had this baby off for about a week or two. Turned it back on. I was feeling a little steamy in here, and I hear the outside unit kick on outside. No noise in here, no airflow at any of the vents. So that tells me right away this puppy right here, this blower motor in the air handler unit is not working. And we can confirm that. Of course, you always want to turn your breaker off when you start messing with this stuff. Right here, you can see, oh, it's already starting to melt. Well, there was some ice in there. And that means that there's not any airflow in here. These are the ones we cleaned up last time. And if you get too much ice in there, it will break all of your stuff. That ice expanding is not good for these coils, and every year they figure out how to make them thinner and thinner. Alright, so we follow the wire from the breaker. Whoop. We can see right here we've got a number of fuses. There's also a little fuse right here, like an automotive style one. So we're going to start off by checking all those for continuity. Set your resistor or your multimeter to ohms and check to see if there's not an overload, or you can also, if you got a fancy one that beeps, do that. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, then just check ohms. So you want to see low ohms, like 0.1 or less. Alright, this is what I'm talking about. I got this puppy set up right up here. Boom, ohms. See that little deal? That's not echolocation. That means it's going to make a noise. Even though it looks like, you know, a bat would diagram, whatever. Alright, so see how it says OL? Let's touch them together. Get this annoying ass sound. Now we're going to go ahead and check these guys over here. So just get in where you fit in. That's what I always say. That one's good. Let's check this bad boy here. That's good. That's a huge fuse. It's for the mains coming in. Damn, I bent the hell out of that. Last one. That one's good. We'll go ahead and check this little guy here. Come on. Get on it. Alright, so all our fuses are good, so that tells me that either one of these boards is fried, we got a bad transformer, possibly this relay is dead. It could be the capacitor here is, you know, worn out, and it does look pretty beat. Or, you know, it's a mechanical problem and the bearings in this thing are just wrecked. So the next logical step to do is we're going to turn this thing on and make sure not to touch anything, and see if this motor in here, see if we can see any spinning, if it's spinning slow, and get a clear identification of the problem. Right now we are still trying to track down what the problem is. Okay, just turn the air conditioner on. If you don't know how to turn your air conditioner on, stop watching this video and call your local provider. You hear that sound? Yeah, this puppy is not turning. Not at all. I'm gonna give it a good whack and see if that helps. Come on, fucker. Work for me, damn it! Don't die! Alright, turn it back off. So now we know that the motor is broken. So something in this squirrel cage fan assembly is no working. So I got a couple options here. And it looks like the easiest one is going to be to just unbolt this sucker, disconnect all these wires, take the whole thing out, and I'm a little thrown off because it is spinning freely. Before you start taking apart stuff like this, you know, take a picture, take a video even. Videos are better. Look at it from a couple of angles. All right, we're gonna follow these wires. Boom, up here. We got one going to the transformer. We got one going to this Q relay. And the last one is not connected to anything. Okay. That's easy. This thing came out pretty easy. I took off this plate, this retaining plate from here, and then it just slid right out from these tracks. Doesn't weigh more than 20 pounds, I'd say, maybe 30. This is a big boy motor here. Definitely that sound, that sort of low hum, is telling me that this motor's probably full. So I'm gonna take this thing out and see what's going on with it. Okay, this thing is still hot. This has been off for a good 20-30 minutes, and it's still pretty hot. So this whole thing is one assembly, the fan and the doodad here. Okay, well that did take a little bit of doing to get that motor out of there. And I went ahead and disconnected this part too, so I can get this whole squirrel cage thingy out of here, because it is just caked from years and years of dutiful operation. But what I ended up having to do, because this is an old style one and there's no ring here, and this thing was extremely rusty, disconnected everything, got my punch, some PB blaster. If you're a car guy, you know about this. It makes WD-40 look like water. And just got a nice thick punch here, and just tap that baby all the way out. It was a pretty long journey. I had to move it about 2 inches to get it out of there, but just kept hammering on that thing. Propped it up on some folding chairs and just dropped that baby out and just gave birth to it. So that's how you do that. Hey, we got this nasty thingies over here at the computer now at my desk. Probably a good idea to go ahead and replace this thing. It looks pretty beat. It's not bulging, but for only a couple of dollars. So we're gonna get the model number off of here. GE half horsepower 5KC P39HG. You want to make sure that you're matching all of your specs here. You've got all the same wires coming out of it. Same thing for this. We're just going to go ahead and try and get the same thing. So these guys are not far. We're just going to give them a call on the telephone here and see if they're open to the public. Some of these places are not. They're only for commercial sales, but okay, after making a couple of phone calls and driving around the city, I did manage to find a place that was open to the public, and this was what you want to check, all this information here. So the model numbers are different. This thing's ancient, but where are we at here? Half horsepower, 208 or 230 volts. Boom. Half horsepower, 208, 230 volts. RPM 1075. RPM 1075. 3-speed doesn't matter, because these two are capped off. That's your high and your, that's your low and your medium. We want this baby on full blast because we live in Texas. Finally, comparing the wire diagrams, I can see that this unit is wired the same. Now, I had to make sure that the shaft diameters were exactly the same, and I verified that when I was buying it. I also needed to make sure that the diameter of the entire motor was about the same, because I have to put that clamp back on for the shock mounts on this baby. So the only real difference here is that that is white. That one is yellow on my unit. Sometimes they have these built at a couple different factories and they use different wires for whatever reason. That's actually one thing that's gotten better in the last 35 years. Now, I did have to put some connectors on this baby because it didn't have them. But that's not that big a deal. I got one of these finally. I had always just used needle nose, channel locks, whatever. Just freaking crunch them on there. As long as it's got a good electrical connection, you should be fine. Nobody's going to be tugging on these wires. It's going to be in a sealed compartment. Now, I took this opportunity while this was out of here to vacuum the heater coils off. Just get the dust off of them. This is an electric heater unit. There's no gas to this house. So just clean those up because it is about to be winter. Okay, got these things all nice and cleaned up. Got all that, most of that black mold off there. And this baby's shiny even. Alright, reassembling this guy. I got the ring on here loose. I'm tightening these down to set the final position of the motor. I noted that when I took the old one apart, the rear face of the motor was sort of flush with this, and the shaft on this new motor is actually longer than the old one. So I'm gonna get these tightened down, and then we'll set the clearance here and on the front face. All right, I wanted to make absolutely certain I got this motor positioning correct, so I went ahead and just jammed some cardboard in here to hold it right, and I'm gonna center this guy out. All right, I finally got this clamp tightened down here. We're pretty flush with the back side. This one's actually a little bit taller. Now I'm looking at this here. Looks pretty even, so that's a good indicator. I'm gonna slide this up a little bit. I want both surfaces about even. You want to make sure you tighten that guy down. Okay, got this totally reassembled. Give it the old spin test. Yeah, buddy. Slide her back in. Okay, threw a zip tie on here. Keep all that out of the fan blades. I've got the two wires that aren't connected stowed up here. Instead of the yellow wire, since the yellow is now the white wire, we have the white wire going to our transformer. I gotta crimp that because it keeps falling off. And the black wire going to this Q relay. Okay, now this was a bit confusing. The guy at the parts store hooked me up and he said, yeah, this motor needs a 10 microfarad capacitor to run the dang thing, get her started up. Now this is a multi-use capacitor, the old one. You can see that it says replaces 3 MFD, 4 MFD, 5 MFD, 7.5 MFD, blah, blah, blah. So this unit, this Turbo Mini, has color-coded terminals. So there are actually, basically there's multiple capacitors in a single package. And this jumper wire here is connecting two different value capacitors together, effectively matching the 10 microfarad capacitor that I have here. Now this one, if you look at the top, you're gonna go, oh shit, well there's 8 connections. Yeah, these are all hooked together and these are all hooked together. And if we look at the wiring diagram on the old motor, see where it says gap and it shows a capacitor there, capacitor symbol. So it just needs to be connected in the same fashion. So basically we're not going to use this jumper wire here. That's unnecessary. And we're just going to use this guy. And it's non-biased. It's not polar specific. So we're just going to connect one to one terminal and one to the other side. And that should do it. Okay, here's the moment of truth. Let's turn her on. Yeah, that's a good sound. And I just wanted to confirm that the new motor is turning in the correct direction. And it is sucking the paper in instead of blowing it out. So we're good on that end. This thing is a done deal. I'm gonna put the cover back on.